We're going to review my childhood trauma. Let's begin with when I was born. My mother passed away shortly after I was born. I give that 1-star rating. That was not fun. Would not recommend. And then around the ages of 6, 7, 8, I start having behavioral issues. So I would rate my childhood from the ages of 5 to 10 as terrible. So I did not enjoy it. I would give that part of my life a 1-star rating. I think that's when I started also just negotiating power within the home and would get into a lot of trouble. Grade 6, and I was starting to struggle academically. And then grade 8 was terrible. 1-star for grade 8 because I moved to a new school again. This was high school, and I couldn't speak any English. And the new school had a lot of kids from middle class families, and I was like lower class. Who wants to unpack some trauma? So today I decided that we're going to review my childhood trauma and see how it has shaped me. We're going to go one by one. I'm not sure if I can remember everything, but I'm going to try to recall. The ones that are coming to the fore are the ones we're going to speak about, okay? Every time I've tried to do a video while doing my skincare, it never goes well, but I'm going to do one more attempt today. Why does my cotton wool have hair on it? Okay. Anyway, I never use cotton wool in my day-to-day, but today I want to appear like a pro, so I'm going to use cotton wool to apply my toner, and I usually do it twice. This is the toner I like. My name is Ayanda, and I am 29 years old. Born and bred, no, not born and bred. I was born in Pretoria, and I was raised in Limpopo, and I still live in Limpopo. So that's who I am. I am a sibling to 6 other people. I'm the last born, and I've got older brothers and older sisters. Where do we begin with the trauma? Let's begin with when I was born. My mother passed away shortly after I was born. I give that 1-star rating. That was not fun. Would not recommend. If you're a parent and you're thinking of dying, I would say postpone, because I never got to know my mother. And I think that also influenced how I moved in life, because at some point I had been missing her, and it was difficult for me to navigate my feelings of grief for knowing that my mother passed away with the sense of yearning that I need to clean my nails. I'm not sure what's happening here. And I just took a bath. What's happening? So I was struggling to navigate my emotions around how to be a child without a mother. How to be a child without a mother in a world which was so motherly centered. And I had a mother in the sense of my adoptive parent who raised me. But there was this deep sense of yearning for a mother that I knew was biologically mine. So when I was growing up, from a young age, actually, from the age of 5, I think from grade R, I was recognizing how differently my life was to that of the people that I knew in terms of how they related to their parents and their mothers. So we've got this dark spot corrector thingy that I recently got from Amazon. Everyone is raving about it, saying it's helping them get bright skin. I genuinely also don't want bright skin on my face, especially. My neck is darker than the rest of my body. So I use it on my neck to see if it's gonna help. But Mrao tells me to not mind my neck because apparently it's insulin resistance, or it's a sign that I'm pre-diabetic. Some scary shit. Okay. So I use it for that. We'll tell you if it helps. So my mother passes away. That sucks for me. And then I'm forced to be raised by relatives. And well, my father was in the picture as well. He was a single father, but because he was working, I had to stay elsewhere with my current mother and her children, who are my siblings. Not siblings in the sense of my father made them, but like siblings. Long story, but they're my siblings. So the death thing, boring. Very, 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 very boring. Would not recommend. So I would say how it shaped me, it has made me... I've noticed when I was younger that I was gravitating a lot towards women. Do you think that's why I'm a feminist? I just, my teachers, all my favorite teachers were women. And I particularly enjoyed the gentle teachers, like the ones that would not shout, or the ones that people in school considered weak because they were not using violence. I liked them. They felt very maternal to me, and I had always imagined that, especially for myself. Like, I always imagined myself as a very gentle mother, somebody that somehow I always also knew that I would have large boobs. Like, I would be chubby, I would smell good, and children would love me. All children would love me. So all my favorite teachers were my English teachers, which also happened to always be women. I don't know what that was about. So I gravitated a lot towards women, older women. Thank God that none of them were malicious. Now that I'm older, I'm realizing how tiring it may have been, because when I was doing it, I was not realizing that I was gravitating towards them because I had craved this maternal connection. But fortunately for me, because I was an intelligent child, most of them had liked. In fact, it would start with me being their teacher's pet, and then it would gradually form into some sort of mentorship, friendship thingy. But then I would proceed to the next grade, and then I would lose that connection with the teacher, and then I'd have to start afresh. And I wasn't sure. Like, back then, I didn't realize how much that was influencing how difficult the transitions were, because I'd have a relationship with this teacher and I would trust her, but then when you move grades, it's very difficult, especially in a school setting, because everything is moving so fast. It's very difficult to maintain a relationship with your previous class teacher or your previous English teacher when you have a new one. And like I said, all of them turned out to be women, so the transition was also easier, because I would just gravitate from this one to the next, like almost like hip hopping, tiptoeing amongst all the women that I knew. And then when I got older as well, I started getting involved in politics. And even within politics as well, I gravitated towards the women leaders, like the people that were in leadership and were women and were in government positions and were women. I preferred them over men. Sharp. So my mother dies, 1-star rating. And then I get older, and then around the ages of 6, 7, 8, I start having behavioral issues. I think honestly, I was just being a child, but it's difficult to have honest behavioral issues as a child who's not raised by biological parents. And I think some of my behavioral issues were also influenced by the fact that I was recognizing that I was living a different life and navigating different emotions. I know now that I had ADHD, but I didn't know then that I had ADHD. But I was spiraling a lot, and my behaviors were impulsive, which got me in a lot of trouble with my caregivers. So I would rate my childhood from the ages of 5 to 10 as terrible. Nobody had done anything, but I was very aware. And I think I was hyper aware of my surroundings, of my emotions, of everything that was happening. And I was unable to clearly express what I was feeling. So I did not enjoy it. I would give that part of my life a 1-star rating. I think that's when I started also just negotiating power within the home and would get into a lot of trouble. And then from the ages, my preteens, 10, 11, 12, were nice. I had changed schools. I was in a new environment, and I enjoyed my class teachers as well as, and because I had changed schools, one of my teachers at my previous school had told her sister, who was a teacher in the new school, to take care of me. So you see, then it comes back to that thing where I was just bouncing from one maternal figure to the other. So when I arrived to the new school, the teacher called me and said, "Hey, do you know me?" I'm like, "I don't know you, but you look like my other teacher at my other school who taught me in grade R." She's like, "Yeah, we're sisters, and she likes you, and she said to take care of you." So she showed me around how to make friends, and I rarely got into trouble. Grade 6, things went bad for me. This was age 11, 12, age 12. Yeah, I got into a lot of trouble, and I was starting to struggle academically, and it was showing in my behavior as well, because I focused a lot on playing. I was clearly getting rebellious, because I remember an interaction I had with my maths teacher, who had tried to discipline me or reprimand me, and I had spoken back to her very negatively. And I remember after, I think it was, I had chewing gum in my mouth. I was talking and whatever, and she was trying to tell me to behave, and I responded in a disrespectful manner. I cannot recall it, but I remember after I blurted it out, I had felt so ashamed and so sorry, but I also could not apologize to her because I was in this group, in this friendship dynamic where it was okay for us to behave in that way. And the people that I had befriended at the time were also people that did not care for school. The shame also was coming from realizing that I was acting out because I was recognizing that I was starting to struggle academically and I didn't like maths, and I had felt stupid in her classes especially. And because I was not someone that had struggled academically, it was difficult for me to accept, and I was acting out. But also, I did not. I felt ashamed because she was also a woman, and I was disappointed or I had let a woman down, like a mother down. Maybe I should be speaking to a therapist. So grade 6, no, I give it 1 star. Grade 7 was fun. I had changed grades again and I had enjoyed. I was enjoying the new grade and I was performing well again. And my class teacher was strict. She was a very strict woman, but I loved her, and there was order in her class, which I noticed now that I actually preferred order because it would force me to follow a certain routine. Whereas if I would do my own thing, I would just not do anything at all. And then grade 8 was terrible. 1 star for grade 8 because I moved to a new school again. This was high school, and I couldn't speak any English. And the new school had a lot of kids from middle class families, and I was like lower class. Middle class families whose parents were professionals like educators, police officers, and they had gone to primary schools which were in the township, whereas I'd gone to a town. Well, now the entire area looks like a village, but there was a clear demarcation at that time where the rich people lived here and the poor people lived here. And the kids, they could speak English. Their handwritings were well trained. You know, when you go to school, well, some of you know, because some of you have gone to schools where they literally train you on how to write. Whereas the school that I had gone to, anyone could write however they wanted. And I had such a terrible handwriting and could not speak English. And I felt thrown into this big kettle of boiling water where I had to adapt very quickly. Did not enjoy it, 1 star. And then I got condoned to grade 9. Now the behavioral issues and the academic challenges are showing up full force. They are showing up full force, which then takes us back to what I think is the core of my trauma. Well, not all of it entirely, but because I was raised in a very strict family and the main form of discipline was violence in the form of spankings and stuff like that. When I had entered high school and I was clearly struggling, because we didn't have a culture of communication and clearly like a tight communicative form of relationship with a parental figure to say, hey, how are you feeling? Now I was in a new setting in high school where I was struggling academically. I had felt in so many ways that I was insufficient. Is that a word? Not insufficient, but yes, something to that effect. Like I was not enough. I felt inferior. And I was acting out, both at home and at school. And I would stay back at school until like 5, 6 p.m., even though I had no use staying back. And then I would get home and my mother would be like, why are you coming home at this time? And I'd be like, by the way, I had work to do, but I didn't have work. I was just playing at school. And then my mother would hit me, and then I would just repeat it again, and I would hit me, and it 1 star rating for beating children. So that was not fun. The violence, Sakis on the violence. And I think it shaped my behavior more than all other positive interactions I've had. Like when I see people now say, I was beaten as a child and I'm fine, I'm like, really? Because I was beaten as a child and I don't think I'm fine. Because here's how I was calculating it. In my head, whatever I did was okay as long as I could bear the first hour after I arrived home. Like if I arrived late, I knew that if I get a spanking within the first hour, then we're fine. Tomorrow I can just thrash it again and again and again. And then it becomes a battle of let's see who tires out first. And I'm a teenager. I'm not going to get tired. You're like in your 50s, you're going to grow tired. Trust me, I've got the time. I've got the time. So I would just repeated behaviors that were disappointing. Sometimes I would just do them deliberately because it also had infuriated me that I would do things that, let's say I misbehaved, and the first instinct that my caregivers had were to discipline me with violence. It created some sort of resentment and anger within me because I felt like I was not even worth it talking to. Like, why can't you just talk to me? Because sometimes when you also, as parents, when you normalize hitting your child, because you don't allow yourself to process whatever has happened, and you don't allow yourself to see things logically, for lack of a better word, there are instances where I had felt that the beatings were unwarranted. Well, now I know that all beatings are unwarranted, but sometimes I felt that had there been a clear communication line in the house, some of the things that I had been accused of some of the misunderstandings that had resulted in me getting beaten, could have easily been avoided, but that did not happen, which made me a more rebellious child. So if you're wondering if you should be hitting your kids, no, you shouldn't be hitting your kids. Also because it does not make them respect you, it makes them fear you. And once they grow older and no longer fear you, it becomes difficult for you guys to manage a relationship, because now sometimes the children may feel they don't owe you the decency of respect because they no longer fear you. And you've never taught them respect, because Luena, the way you would be navigating your relationship with them would be in a manner that is seen as disrespectful to the people receiving it or the kid themselves. So one star rating for that. But then it becomes difficult for me to navigate high school then, because I'm having a lot of behavioral issues. I'm getting depressed. I'm getting into my period, and then I hide that. Yeah, maybe someday we need to talk about that. And then I hide that, and then it becomes a whole thing where I keep getting into trouble in school, but then there's no clear solution. The teachers like me, they think I'm intelligent, but I'm behaving like a pain in the butt. It was difficult. Even the teachers that liked me would sometimes say, baby, I don't know how else to defend you. I need you to slow down. And I didn't know how to slow down. I think also I was like self-harming in the form of, I was just doing things that I knew I didn't want to do, but like, who's going to stop me, you know? And my father would obviously talk to me, and because my father also never hit me, I used to be very afraid of disappointing him. He would talk to me and would be disappointed in me and would tell me, look, I'm trying my best. I'm a single father and our relatives are helping us raise you. I need you to get your act together. And then I would be heartbroken because I'm disappointing my father. And which is also another thing that I'm hoping parents are going to learn from this video, is that when you live with a child full time, it's easy for them to glorify the parent that is not in the picture full time. Because my mother was interacting with the me that was talking back, and the me that was coming home late, the me that was not doing the dishes, and the me that was just stealing stuff, because I also had quite a hand when I was a child. I was stealing a lot. But then when my father would come in the weekends, he'd find this happy child. I would be happy because the atmosphere in the house would be different. There would be visitors, people from Mahwenge. My father would be back. It would be fun. And then my father would see this version of me. And then when he would be disappointed, because obviously they would have to tell him, or look, this person you've brought as an animal. My father would then have to be disappointed. And then I would feel guilty thinking, oh my goodness, I'm ruining my father's experience of coming home. Therefore, I need to behave. Like, I thought that if I had behaved better, then there wouldn't be any reports to my father about my ill behavior, and then my father would enjoy coming home. Like, it was such a mindfuck, and I feel so sorry for younger me. So yeah, 1-star rating as well for the parent living away. But I understand that in most cases it's very difficult for parents to want to be the parents they want to be without having to take up the opportunities that are going to request them to be away from home. Grade 9 sucked. Grade 10 sucked even more, because even though I did not like mathematics, I picked a stream that had to do with mathematics and physics. Hated it, performed poorly, but I passed. Grade 11, performed poorly, and I failed. And for the first time in my life, I got a clear fail. 1-star rating for failing a grade. Did not enjoy that. And then instead of changing my behavior and studying more, I decided to join politics. And then I was creating protests all over the place. I would go to schools and shut down schools. Teachers that were dating children, predators. hated predators. If there was a predator in your school, I was going to shut down the school. And it was a whole thing. And then I became a provincial problem. Whereas I was a problem in my school, I became a provincial problem because then I was all over the province creating chaos. And teachers and principals would call my principal and be like, hey, why is your kid not in your school? Why is she here tormenting me? So that part of my life, I rated 5 out of 5 stars. The part where I was disrupting schools, I rated 5 out of 5 stars because it was stimulating me so good. It was scratching my zing, zing, zing. Arrive to school, send a letter, arrive to school, speak to the principal. Hey, we are so and so. We care for children's rights. And we had... it was so fun, and we'd hand over these constitutions that had to do with school conduct and children's rights and everything, and we'd educate kids on their rights, on their bodies, and whatever. But most of the time it was chaotic in the sense that when you are that young and you're so fired up to do good, you realize very quickly that there's a lot of bad, especially around you. Like your eyes get opened, and then you start to think there's more important things to do than that mathematics homework. 5 out of 5 stars for the experience, 1 out of 5 stars for the procrastination, because I did procrastinate, but I did pass. And then I got to grade 12, which I also failed. Yeah, I did fail grade 12. At this point, I knew that things were not going to go well for me. I remember a teacher of mine, which I bumped into Maloba, actually. I was driving someone's car. Minar Matlangu, if you're watching this video, that is not my car, but I couldn't tell you. So I'm driving this car. I bump into him at this four-way stop. I rolled down the window. I was so excited to see him. I'm like, Minar Runjani, oh, he recognizes me. And I say to him, I'd like to thank you for the chat you had with me in grade 12 when I failed. Because after we collected the statement, everyone was outside. And it was tense. It was tense. And then Minar Mahlangu came, pulled me to the side, and he said, you are literally such a smart girl. I don't understand why you do the things you do. You are so smart. And he had known me from grade 8. He was teaching me natural sciences and technology from grade 8 to grade 9, and then mathematics in grade 9. He was like, what is happening with you? What is happening? What is happening? What is this behavior? I expected much from me, and it broke my heart because he was sad. He had tears in his eyes. I felt disappointed because I knew that he was telling the truth. And honestly, that chat changed my life because after that, I went to a new school. I went and found a school for myself. Repeated grade 12. I went to that new school and I said, hi. No, I'm skipping some parts. In grade After I failed matric, I came to Polokwane, wanted to upgrade my matric, went to this other college, which I think is a scam. And there were like 200 people in one class. And I just stopped going to school. And then I started eating my tuition money that my father was sending. And then I stopped going to school. I didn't write assignments for term 1. And then, yeah, 1 out of 5. Don't do that. Don't take money from your parents saying you're going to do something when you know you're not going to do it. But I couldn't communicate to my father that, look, the school I picked, because he wanted me to go to Pretoria, the school I picked, I don't enjoy it. I'm stimulated. I didn't know that then, but I really was stimulated. Overstimulated. Stimulus. The school I picked, I no longer like it. I'll look for a new one. Instead, I just stopped going to school in February. Term 2 comes around. People are speaking about their assignments and test results for term 1 in the school group chat, and I'm like, damn, that is crazy. So I Google schools around me. I go to a school in Polokwane called Flora Park Comprehensive High School. I set up a meeting with the principal. I say, hi, principal, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. How are you? I'm like, you won't believe this. I am about to enroll myself. Definitely 5 out of 5 stars for that move. That was badass. He said no. He said that he can't enroll me without parents. And I said, my parents are dead. Believe it or not, both my parents are dead. My father was still alive at the time. Maybe I'm the one that shortened his life. Because he did pass away in 2021. He would have lived longer had I not been lying. Anyway. And then I go and I get 2 adults, which I both knew because they had been grooming me politically. Not grooming me in that sense, but they were people that I had interacted with politically, and they worked for the ANC office. And I said, I went to the ANC office, they worked for finance, their offices were next to each other. I stood between both the offices and I said, and I said, Mr. Mokari and Mrs. Litswalo, would you two like to be my parents? They're like, what? I'm like, yep. And the next day, they were both in the principal's office at my new school, signing me up as my guardians. And then I passed my matric. 5 out of star for that entire year. It was a smooth year. They said to me, leave dilo tsa dipolitiki. Like they told me, they said, stop the political nonsense. We don't want to hear that you've started a strike at your new school. We don't want to hear when I hear you've written a memorandum at your new school. People must not even know that you're affiliated with the ANC and courses at your new school. We need you to focus. And then they gave me new uniform. And then for the first few weeks at the school, I didn't speak to anyone. So when I got to the new school, I literally acted like I'm not a rebel. I had to, because I knew this is my second chance, and the strings I had pulled to be able to convince two random people to be a couple for the sake of me going back to matric. I was like, okay, I'll behave. And then I did not pull any political nonsense, and I passed my matric. So that entire experience gets a 5 out of star rating for me from beginning to end. I had a good year. So yeah, that is that is all the rating I have. Let me know if you want me to review something else. For now, that's all I can remember. If I do remember something else I want to read about my life and my childhood, I'm going to let you know. Anyway, yeah, I have to go. I should have been editing a video, but I thought to film one just so I can postpone the editing. Now I have 3 more videos to edit. Okay, love you, bye.